Welcome back to the 100th episode of the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Beekler. I'm live in San Francisco, California. I'm coming to you from Nerdrotic.com, and I am joined by my two lovely and talented co-hosts, Dennis Pathalkas in San Diego and John Reed in Toluca Lake, California. What is up, gentlemen?
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
And I know I'm sounding all cheery right now, but let's start out with some deaths. Okay, shall we?
Wait, hold on. Before we start out with death, 100 episodes, guys. This is fucking amazing. Like, this is incredible. This is a milestone. I'm so happy to be celebrating with you guys. I wasn't around for the first 50 yards of this touchdown, but I was there to help carry the ball across the end zone line. I don't know football terms, but yeah,
that's what happens when a nerd tries to use sports analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? Yeah, it was almost 4 years ago. It started out in a Starbucks in West Portal in San Francisco, on a cold January night.
It was raining too.
It was raining. It was 3 weeks after I closed the Comic Outpost. Yeah, it's okay.
In San Francisco for my brother's funeral.
Yes. Yeah,
Also
we were
sad.
both really just fucking sad and we needed something happy to do. So we created a podcast and look at us now. For those of you listening to us, we are all naked right now for our 100th episode. If you hear some things flopping around, it's just us. Don't worry about it. Okay, so are we ready? We always start out our podcast with death. I don't know why. It sucks. It's just because people die every day. And I want to start out, a movie close, near and dear to every nerd's heart is Clerks. Love or hate Kevin Smith now. At the time, loved him, loved this movie. And Dante's girlfriend is dead at the age of 44. Her name was Lisa Spoonhour, and apparently she died of natural causes, a degenerative disease that we are not aware of. It's very sad to hear. Very young lady, and we love Dante's girlfriend.
I would make a dick joke, but it would be really, really unacceptable to do so at this moment.
Oh,
but,
why not?
Insert dick joke here.
Insert
How many dicks
dick
did you suck? Yeah. So it's sad.
It is sad. And we also lost the Mighty Powers Booth, who's just been.
I thought you were going to say the Mighty Power Rangers, but
the Mighty Morphin
We
Power.
almost did lose a Power Ranger this last weekend at Phoenix Comic Con. But anyway, that's a different story.
Uh-oh. What happened there?
Some guy burst into the Phoenix Comic Con saying that he was the real life Punisher. Some big fat guy, 30 years old, bristling with guns, and they tackled him. Luckily, and he said he was actually trying to kill the Green Power Ranger. The guy who initially played the Green Power Ranger who was there for some unknown reason.
Wow, that is big fucking news. I'm glad we didn't miss that one because the guy who was supposed to join us on this podcast couldn't because he's at the Phoenix Comic Con, or he was there. It was Emo.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was there.
Okay.
Emo probably took him down. Emo's a badass.
I don't think Emo was even aware. He was out on the floor.
He drew a picture of him. That's what Emo would do. I could draw a picture of your gun, man. Powers Booth is dead. He was in the Avengers and Shadow. He was
Sin City.
Did
he always play like a menacing bad dude, or like
Red Dawn? He was the good guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
He mostly played bad guys though, or a general or something like. I mean, he's just been around forever. Great character.
He's one of those guys that has like his face looks like it has muscles in it, and he's like just that voice, like
he's also got one of those old school Hollywood names like Lee Marvin, Powers Booth. He
played Philip Marlowe for HBO for their series on Philip Marlowe for a long time.
Oh yes, that was like one of their first like
series.
Yeah, I remember. Oh my god, that was ages ago, and he was perfect. He was perfect at it.
Tombstone, Brushy Bill.
Yes. Oh god, Tombstone's such a great freaking movie.
Yes.
So rest in peace, Powers Booth. And we have one more, which is really freaking sad because he was my James Bond. Okay. Everybody loves Sean Connery.
He's mine too. Oh, wow.
Grew up in the 70s and 80s. Roger Moore was your James Bond. He's the James Bond who perfected getting laid at every opportune moment. And he lived lived a good long life. Sir Roger Moore.
What are some of his?
passed
Was he
away.
an Octopussy? And
Yes, he was an Octopussy,
Diamonds Are
Moonraker, Live and Let Die. Oh God,
I didn't know you were such a Bond guy.
His last one,
I know a lot of
we were
Bond
huge, but yeah, we were. His last one was in San Francisco.
Yes,
View to a
View to a Kill. I actually saw that being filmed back.
You did.
Yes.
It's got the craziest poster of him like standing on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, like pointing his gun, and then Christopher Walken's head is poking out of a fucking helicopter. I actually did. I used the art for one of our podcasts, and I put Dennis's face over James Bond, and I'm over the girl, and we're sitting on the Golden Gate Bridge. I should bring that back. I'll bring that.
Duran Duran does a great cover song too, of "View to a Kill." On that, that's actually one of my favorite Bond movie songs.
Me too.
It's also one of the worst Bond movies ever made. It
is really bad, but it's got one of the best Bond villains with, Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken's Saturday Night Live, by the way, which he was on during that whole, to promote the movie. He does a whole Bond skit, which was hilarious, about how he doesn't have his villain fortress built yet, but he's going to explain it all in PowerPoint, like a PowerPoint presentation or PowerPoint. So he was doing like billboards and all this stuff, it's really funny.
Nice.
What's your favorite Bond movie?
My favorite Bond movie?
Roger Moore Bond movie.
My favorite Roger Moore Bond movie. Probably Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
I'm also
Diamonds Are Forever. I think that's my favorite.
I also like one of the worst ones, which is Man with the Golden Gun.
Yes, Man with the Golden Gun was awesome.
Love Man, and I do love Moonraker.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of Moonraker. Yes. Octopussy was one of the better ones too. That was a very, very good movie.
He was also the TV's The Saint. He was that as well before he became James Bond. I watched that show too, and they had reruns of that.
Diamonds Are Forever is Roger Moore.
Yeah, Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah, I it's funny because I've seen so many Bond movies, but like I can never remember them at the end. Like they're all like, crazy opening scene, like Bond has sex with lots of people, crazy middle, Bond has sex with lots of people, crazy ending, and like it's hard to like keep all together.
Oh, that's why Live and Let Die is, with just the voodoo stuff and the whole Louisiana thing, and it's got the sheriff in it who just passed away too. That's just a good movie.
Yeah.
So there is a ton of news, crazy news, but I think the biggest news, a shit ton. The biggest news is the tragedy of Zack Snyder, who we have been very hard on in this podcast, but we do it in good fun, and it's just about his creative work, not as him as a person.
Right, Singer we tear apart him as a person, but with Zack Snyder, it's been a little different,
Zack Snyder had like the worst thing that could ever happen to a human being happen, and his daughter committed suicide, and we just feel really bad about that. And honestly, the
things at him.
Please. And just keep in mind, that everybody's excited that Joss Whedon is now coming in, and he had been working on the movie. To keep in mind that like these are just dumb movies. Okay, I know we talked to, but
Joss Whedon also said that he's not. This is all Zach. He'll be involved in a couple of the reshoots and some of the editing, but that's about it. And I just think it's interesting. Like I don't want to dwell on the Zack Snyder stuff because we haven't loved his movies, and on top of that, this is just a tragedy, right? Like this is just a horrible thing. But I think to come out of this, what we have is that the guy who did the Avengers is now finishing the Justice League. It's Joss Whedon. I don't feel like he was ever built to be a $2 billion, movie maker, but it's still always exciting that he gets these breaks. So I am looking forward to see how I feel like Zack Snyder's visual style with Whedon's editing and finishing sensibilities could make quite an excellent movie.
So I'm excited about that. He rewrote a lot of Zack's dialogue too.
Yeah.
Is what.
That's particularly what's been the problem, and some plot points. So we'll see.
I always thought if Michael Bay, because Michael Bay and Joss Whedon went to school together, film school together, and I always thought if you could combine the two, you'd have a really great like summer movie.
Oh yeah,
medley. And this is kind of that. Like Zack Snyder is a visual guy, and Joss Whedon is a dialogue story guy. And blending the two together, I think we might be pleasantly surprised with what we get from this marriage.
Here's what I don't understand, and I love Joss Whedon. I am one of his biggest fans, but he got crushed by Avengers: Age of Ultron. I thought he was done. I mean, he even said he's done with big movies, and here we are 4 years later, and he's back. Why? What does he need to prove?
Beep, beep. That's a big dump truck full of money that Disney, or what is it, WB was.
But it's got to be more than money. They must have come at him with, you have full creative autonomy. Like, we will not fuck with you. Well, it's got to be, because that was his problem with Marvel, and Marvel is actually pretty cool. As long as you stay within a certain box, they let you do what you want to do. You know. So
here's what I would say about this. Is my take on it. Like, anyway, this is my take on it. I think Joss Whedon is impulsive. He got crushed by Avengers and then got pulled back into Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then got crushed by Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then got pulled into Batgirl. And you know he's going to come out of it. I feel like Joss Whedon is one of those people who doesn't. He's impulsive with the choices he makes, but then he follows through with them as best he can, and then he kind of complains a little bit afterwards.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I think actually what happened was he got crushed by Ultron, and then it was also the 1-2 punch of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. getting divorced from the movies that he was working on. He's the executive producer on it. And
he bashed after the Avengers, he went on like a media blitz against Marvel, and they still had him back for Ultron. And I don't know. I think that every time he finishes a movie, it drains the life out of him because he puts his own soul into it.
He's an artist. So you're both right. But I think, he got a lot of money, but he's also, dude, I'm like that sometimes. Like I'll crush myself and finish it, and then bitch about it, and then be okay, after a few months or something like that. That's just how some creative people work, and I totally get that. He's going to do it again. There's no way he's going to finish Justice League, go and do Batgirl. And I can go on a whole side thing about, like, there's this huge female, movement going on right now. And is Joss Whedon still the best that he started? Is he still the best female director in Hollywood? I'm just asking. Or was Catherine Bigelow not available? If we want to have, I really think a woman should either write or direct it. And the reason being is because it's a woman. Okay. Now Joss Whedon is really good at writing women, but that wasn't a male dominated field, which is not so dominated anymore. So that's one of the just things I don't get, especially when Joss Whedon is the most vocal person about female directors and stuff like that. And then he's going to go direct a female movie. Okay. And number 2, are they going to call it Batgirl or Batwoman?
Well, Batwoman's a different character.
I know, but okay. Gee, I owned a comic store for 10 years. Do you think I know that? I might know that. So my question is, dorks, are they going to call it Batgirl or Batwoman?
They're going to call it Batgirl.
It'll be Batgirl.
You think it'll be Batgirl? Because I think they're going to.
We've never been on the same page like this before. This is incredible. This is an incredible.
They're actually 2 different characters. One has a red costume as a lesbian, and the other is Barbara Gordon. Yeah.
That'd be a black costume with a red bat, and she's a lesbian.
It's with a red. It's red in the costume, and she is a
black,
lesbian.
or is it like really deep blue?
So I don't know why they would call it Batgirl unless she's like a young girl, because people will have a problem with it. They even mentioned it in the goddamn Lego Batman movie. She's all, if I'm Batgirl, do I get to call you Batboy? Just bringing up some points. That's all. I think he will be asked to do the next Justice League movie, and he'll probably say yes and do the same damn thing again.
Well, Doug Liman right now is still attached to do Justice League Dark, so who knows?
But that's not the next Justice League movie. Justice League Dark is just a different movie.
Yeah.
That's going to be like Swamp Thing and Constantine and stuff. Are they doing real Justice League Dark?
Yep.
That's the one I'm actually looking forward to the most.
Yeah, me too. Because I love Lehman. He's awesome.
Yeah. Those are going to be that's the best characters But I mean, I was referring to the Justice League sequel that's coming out.
Yeah,
yeah, I think he's gonna definitely do that, and maybe it's to give a finger to Marvel. I don't know, or maybe to just prove he can do another one, which he doesn't need to do.
He just likes playing in the sandbox. He got to do
Totally.
Dark and Captain America, and now he gets to do Batman and Superman. He loves comic books. Like,
yeah, he's a comic book fan.
He's happy,
and I'm sure he doesn't mind the attention either.
Oh, yeah.
Let's.
Do you get that from him? I can't tell if he shuns the attention, he likes the attention, or if he shuns the attention.
He says he hates the attention and needs it.
I saw him on the floor of Comic-Con one time. He was walking with some artwork, and people screamed out his name. And he just kind of looked over his shoulder and hey, waved, and just kept walking. And that was it. I mean, because they shouted at him from a distance.
That's pretty normal, but I mean, to work in Hollywood, you have to be a bit of attention. We've talked about this before.
It's crazy though, because he like tweets out all this political stuff, and then he deletes his Twitter for like a year. You know, like he's got these two sides to him. That's like attention seeking, and then like, do you think he gets into depressive slumps?
Definitely. He's an artist. Yes, he's an artist. He is an artist.
I love Joss Whedon. I don't want anyone to think that
I do too. He's a human being. He's a freaking human being, and he probably drunk tweets and goes, "Oh fuck," and then like goes and looks back at his Twitter for the last year and going, "God damn, that's negative. That's just all negative."
I never drink on the air.
Black Widow stuff, and I think that really tainted his experience at Marvel as well.
Really, he got a say for that, huh?
That's why
I never drank on the air at all.
Yeah, vodka.
It's just vodka.
Sure.
That's all.
That's a lot of vodka. Is there something we need to talk about on this podcast right now?
No interventions. No.
So, Joss Whedon, we hope you get the help you need. No, just kidding. The other big news.
That is not correct.
Just kidding. The other big news is Tom Hardy is going to be Venom. You want to talk about somebody who got shit for a role? And I am a huge Tom Hardy fan, and we all have a Tom Hardy here. We're all a little bit fans of Tom Hardy. At least Dennis and I are.
Yes.
And he's taking on Venom, which is rad in every sense of the word, except it's a rated R movie that may not be attached to Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know what Sony's actually doing. They're trying to do a villain universe of Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man. It's very odd what they're trying to do. So I don't know exactly where they're going with this.
Is this like a Sinister Six thing they're trying to put together?
Well, they're trying to do multiple movies. Yeah,
they've had this in the wheelhouse since Spider-Man 3 with Raimi, and they are in love with this Venom idea for some reason. I think there's got to be something more behind this. Why they would just be sticking with something that like nobody. Real, I mean, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and this is great casting. This is the only way I would probably go see it, is Tom Hardy being involved. I just have this feeling that he won't be involved within a year.
Yeah, it was the same thing. Like he was involved with Suicide Squad until his role, got knocked down quite a bit when Will Smith came on board, and he was like, "See ya, I'm out."
Who was he supposed to be?
He was actually what's his name? Flag.
Oh,
he was supposed to be Randall Flag, yeah. Which would have been rad.
And that was I forget the guy's name now who actually played him. Was it Courtney Jai?
Yeah, he was good. He was good as Flag. I mean, in a bad movie. Don't get me wrong.
No, Courtney Jai was Captain Boomerang. That's right.
I thought he was supposed to be Captain Boomerang.
No, he was supposed to be Randall Flag.
He was supposed to be Flag. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that the same thing's going to happen. And that was the first thing I thought of was his Suicide Squad thing. He gets attached early. We don't have a script yet. He sees the script and goes, "Oh, I'm not going to be in the script. I've got to go to season 2.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they're kind of gotten to the point where they're recycling. Like there must be only a certain amount of people who are willing to be in these movies. Like I think a lot of actors probably misjudge how good some of this source material or some of this material can be. And so they've got this pool that they're playing within, and they've gotten to the point where they're starting to, recycle Chris Evans and recycle Tom Hardy. And you know what I mean? And recycle Scarlett Johansson, and I think that it's starting to get a little bit
much.
incestuous here.
It is getting and we will talk more about this. Another subject, we have 3 big subjects we want to talk about after the news that I want to get into is and it just blanked out of my brain now. God damn it. Is the fatigue and the horrible box office weekend we had this weekend. And them who they blamed for it. So more on that later in the podcast because it's funny. It's hilarious. So I don't know. Do you think this movie will actually get made? And 2-part question: do you think it will be in the Tom Holland Spider-Man universe?
Yes and no. I think it will get made.
I'm gonna say yes and no as well. I think it's gonna get made. I don't know. I think that it could go either way. If we see it get delayed, it's probably because they're trying to fit it into the Tom Holland universe. But I think it's going to be too difficult for them, kind of like Wolverine with the rest of the X-Men. They want to make a rated R movie, or Deadpool, right? They want to make a rated R movie, but they have a hard time fitting it. And I think that's what we're going to get.
That's why they wanted to make it. You just hit it right in the head, is Logan. They wanted their Logan. And they're like, we'll make it with Venom. We can get Tom Hardy, so we'll make because they're all about copying. So yeah, I was like, why would they want to make this? They want their own Logan. Because Logan's going to get nominated for Best Picture this year, guys.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I guarantee it.
I still have to see that.
I guarantee it's insanely high on the tomato meter. Everybody freaking loved it. Yeah, it was dark and depressing, and I'm with Dennis. I don't want to see it again.
Elizabeth Warren used Logan. Oh no, it was Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, the California senator, used Logan as an analogy in one of her speeches. As like a movie that inspired her to like do certain things. I don't remember the exact thing.
So her speechwriter saw Logan, and
no, it was during a Q&A. Like she answered like a question, like, "Hey, I just saw Logan, and like it had this message, and I like to incorporate that message into my like." It was interesting to, anyway. But
if you
don't get me started on Camilla Harris. I was living here when she was the DA and did fucking nothing for 4 years. She was a big
program.
For catch and fucking release. Yeah, don't get me started on that shit.
My best friend's dad ran against her for DA, so I have like not great feelings either. But anyway.
Oh, I know. You know what? I voted for him too, by the way. So
I probably did too because I voted for anybody except her.
Bill Fazio for DA.
Yes, I voted for Bill Fazio for DA. I didn't even know that was your best friend's dad. Right on.
Tom Fazio's dad.
Oh God, I didn't even make a connection. Holy shit, I'm an idiot. Well, hey, tell him I voted for him and I wish he would have won. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking Tom. Rest your soul, buddy. Love you. Okay. So,
by the way, if you're gonna go and see Logan, John, hide all the sharp objects and any kind of collectibles first.
I don't know if you're gonna like it, John.
It's really dark.
It's really super dark.
Okay. It doesn't move though. Dark, that's the only thing that matters. Like if it moves, I'm good.
It moves. Yeah.
It's a completely well done movie. I am all for it. I don't, fuck the Academy. I don't give a shit about them anymore. But if it won, I'd be very happy because it deserves it. It was
the fact that Logan could win and Dark Knight didn't could be a problem. Like in general.
Well, Dark Knight's a different animal.
It is a different. Dark Knight's a superhero movie, and this is taking superhero movie to like a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like it's Unchained, Unbound. It was noir. It was fucking dark. It was nihilistic. Yeah. Patrick Stewart gives the performance of his career.
Yeah,
and that's a pretty good career.
That's interesting. I bet you they're trying to do Deadpool with Venom more than Logan. Maybe I feel like they want something that's like violent and funny, right?
But Tom Hardy's not funny. He's a lot of things. Tom Hardy is a lot of things. He's the most talented actor in Hollywood, except for comedy.
He was pretty funny in Inception. I thought he had some good lines in Inception.
I actually liked him in Legend. Legend, he plays twins, and he was trying to be. He was doing it to. They're Irish gangsters, is what they are. They're twin brothers, and one of them is very dry, and it came off funny because that was the way it was. He was never getting the joke that he was the butt of some of these jokes at his own expense. Yeah.
Okay, if you want to say that is funny, I would agree with that. Being the straight man is part of being funny, but as a wisecracking funny guy, he was in that rom-com with Was it
Oh
Captain
God,
Kirk?
yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking
This
bad.
is pine-
Yeah, this means war.
Yeah, this means war, and that was his opportunity to be funny. And honestly, that's the hardest thing to do is comedy. So, but I don't think it'll ever happen. But it'd be interesting. Wow, the superhero movies will be going off the fucking rails. That's going backwards if you're doing shit like that. Logan can't be remade. Logan's like a classic. It's gonna go. It's
Cool.
what's funny is it is Shane. It's fucking Shane, the movie that it represents within the movie, but
Right.
Okay, I want to talk about the Star Trek. We're going to talk about two prequels here. One good, one not so good.
Yeah.
And the Star Trek Discovery trailer dropped, and it was a big pile of dicks. It was
I'm
terrible.
okay. Anyway, I didn't.
It was go. You could be okay with it. It looked
bad.
It looked really bad. It looked like Enterprise. It just I know they were trying to like push themselves away from Enterprise, but it looked why? And I love who they got to play Sarek, but why on earth are we doing a prequel? Why aren't we going next generation and going out to space and going beyond the galaxy or something like that? Why do we keep going to prequels? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Help me understand, guys.
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't answer it for you, Gary.
The Brian Fuller was involved in this. The guy who's doing American Gods there, and wisely left. I think he saw what was going on, although he created it.
He's
But
still
I
involved.
think
He's still creator and producer on it.
he's just executive producer. I mean, he doesn't make any. He said he plotted out a first series. He hopes they stick with it, but he walked away from it. There has to be a reason.
Kurtzman now?
What was that?
Alex Kurtzman is the.
Oh,
I believe so.
New one?
Which Kurtzman has a 50-50, Lost.
Amazing Spider-Man. He did, worked on Star Trek. The movies, the reboots.
I'm a
some
Trekkie.
great stuff.
I'm a fucking Trekkie. I
Maybe
like
that's
Star
it.
Trek.
Maybe that's
I
it.
like Star Trek more than I like Star Wars.
Yeah, see, maybe that's it. That might be why I'm okay with it, and you're not as happy. Like I'm not a Trekkie. Like I kind of watch this stuff. Like I'm a Next Generation guy. Like I like some of that stuff because I was a kid when it was out. So like for me, I'm more excited about the VR game I'm about to play in a couple hours. That I can be on the bridge and doing cool stuff. But this just looks like fun Star. Like I don't think they're trying to do anything new here. I think they're just trying to give Star Trek to us again. So
Brian Fuller worked on some of the better Star Treks back in the day.
Did he?
So yeah, he worked on Deep Space Nine. So I was expecting more. It just doesn't. I don't know, man. I can't get over the prequel thing. I just don't give a shit about early Star Trek, and it's not in. This isn't in J.J. Abrams' universe. It is in the real Star Trek universe,
which is a big mistake.
No, it's not. It's actually a great thing. Actually, what they should do,
in your opinion. I think it's confusing. Like, what are they going to do with the movies now?
They just rebooted a universe. Like, do this in that universe. I don't know.
Yeah, but the last movie tanked. That was the reason why.
But it was good. Did you see it?
I refused to watch any of the.
It's good.
Okay, it's good. It was actually way better than the second movie, which wasn't good.
What they should be doing is they should be doing a series on the Mirror Universe.
No.
The Empire, yeah. Dude, right now they're actually IDW is doing a comic based on it, which is a smart move because you have an entire new universe from an entire different perspective that's still in Star Trek, and you could do it in an entirely different way.
Here's a different way. Rip off
Donald
Doctor
Trump
Who.
as the captain of the USS Enterprise.
Rip off Doctor Who. I'm gonna build a wall around the galaxy. Okay, no, I'll rip off Doctor Who. You go 100 years in the future after Picard, and they had a fucking war, decimated the fucking Federation. It's gone. Think of it like the Time War in Doctor Who. And you've got Earth left. There's no Federation. There's just Earth. That's the one that last standing, and maybe some Romulans or some shit.
That's they're doing in the IDW Mirror Universe right now.
And then you go I would put it in the real Star Trek universe and put it 100 years and have your next generation. It's that simple. There's your fucking pitch. And they can't do it. Paramount should be stripped of Star Trek. I mean, they don't know what to do. They have this cash cow and they cannot figure it out. And I don't think it's good that it went on this CBS streaming service that it was supposed to launch it, that you have to pay for, and it was supposed to launch it, and it didn't launch it. They went ahead and it's available
they
now.
screwed themselves there because they had to launch it at the time because they had Big Brother going on, and Big Brother is a 24/7. You need CBS All Access to get the live feeds for Big Brother. So they needed to have it happen at that point because they had a whole season of Big Brother that they had to air at that time, and so they couldn't wait for Star Trek. And then Star Trek had all these scheduling problems. So it was a huge mistake, but I still see why they I feel like they were just in a bad position and they had to do what they had to do at that point. I'd rather have it than not have it, I guess, is my attitude about it.
And they did it for Big fucking Brother. I mean, like,
that's huge for them.
Stale. Well, yeah, they were doing I'm trying to see on the ratings, like how many people actually still watch this show. I know it's like huge in England still, and they do the live feed and stuff. It's been.
Yeah, I'm part of that community a bit. It's got a very fervent fan base. It's got pretty good numbers, and it's the biggest thing CBS has going on during the summer. So, and Les Moonves owns CBS, and his wife is the host. So he's kind of invested personally.
You know, if CBS really wanted to draw on their viewer base, what they should be doing is shows like Matlock, The Next Generation.
I know, right? They get a 1.9 in the 18. And this is in 2016, so they get a 1.9 in the 1849 demo. So I mean, it's cheap to make. Like if any other show got these ratings, it'd be canceled. But since this thing like costs nothing to make, and it does have this like fevered fucking fan base, and I bet you that overnight live feed shit gets just as much ratings now as the real show. Because people are voyeuristic and weird, and that's cool. Because I remember that being on. What was it on, John? It was on Showtime.
We lost John. All of a sudden, he had to go and do something. All of a sudden, I don't know what happened.
He just got up and left. I'm sitting there talking to him.
He said something, and then I didn't hear what it was.
Okay, well, I'm going to mute his mic.
It is Mike. He said
I'm going to eject him and he can come back later. Okay, especially being rude and getting up while I was in the middle of fucking talking to him. That is bad podcast etiquette, ladies and gentlemen. You could break in and just say, I need to go to the bathroom. You just don't go, I got to go.
No, that's what he said. I believe. I didn't hear what he said. I just went and looked and saw that he had typed it out too.
Okay, well, that's not cool. All right, so then we'll stop talking about it. Okay.
Yep.
And we're going to go to the other prequel. He was going to talk about Dark Crystal. Do you care about Dark Crystal?
I think it's interesting that they're doing a prequel to it.
I love Dark Crystal. I can't wait to see it. My Melissa is super excited about it. And that was a great movie when it came out. One of the best soundtracks ever. Let's go talk about Zemeckis directing The Flash. And he is like the 18th director. Well, they actually asked you and me the other day, right?
Yeah, actually, I got my. I was one of the early contenders, and I just had to turn it down. I was when script number 2 was still around. They just trashed script number 3, so they're going to be working on script number 4 right now.
Gotcha. I had a scheduling conflict. I had to go to the bathroom that day. So, okay. So The Flash is having problems, Dennis. It's
the movie, not the TV show.
Not the. Oh, yeah. So, okay. Let's make this distinction. TV, good. Movie TV, bad. Let's start with it. Looks like it's a piece of he got a bunch of aluminum cans and cut them up and then stuck them on his body. The actor
Ezra.
I like him as an actor. I think he would be much better as oh my god, what's that little demon boy that in the DC universe? The Blue Demon or something?
The Blue Beetle?
No, not the Blue Beetle. The Blue
you mean
part of the remember Greg Morrison's Sovereign 7?
No.
Oh, you don't remember? Yeah, he was part of that. He would be better as that. He would be better as a lot of other things. He is not a good Barry Allen.
No,
to me,
he sucks,
anyway.
especially with the little proto mustache thing that he's got going. And
Yeah, what is it? Like, he's gonna have a pube mustache or something? Proto mustache.
Yeah.
That's a much nicer way to say it, Dennis. I appreciate that. I love Robert Zemeckis for his past work. I'm a big fan of Robert Zemeckis. He's not been perfect on everything, but I mean, he gave us fucking Back to the Future. This is a legend. Forrest Gump, Contact, just some good shit. It almost feels like Brownell. Remember Kenneth Branagh directed Thor,
Mhm.
and that was one of the most shocking directing moves I've ever seen. Like the guy who directed Henry V directed Thor. So I mean, anything's possible. And maybe Zemeckis thinks it's hey, you know what? Before I go,
well, he's in line.
retire.
He hasn't actually gotten the gig as of yet.
Okay, well, we're talking about it speculatively. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm wondering why he's even considering it. And I think
someone else wants it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and maybe he's just thinking, "What the hell? I'll do a superhero movie," and he'll back out. I mean, there's no way he'll be involved. This man does not need to prove anything. He's got Academy Awards at home, and he's made classic movies. The Flash seems like just this big disaster, and it's not a hard script to write.
Well, you got to remember, I know why they chose him, because it's going to be special effects heavy, and he has done a lot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
So I know that's the reason why they're looking at him, because they're saying, hey, special effects have stepped up quite a bit. Do you want to get involved with this? And he probably was like, yeah, okay, sure. It sounds like a good idea. So
I don't know. I just don't see this being any more special effects heavy than your average Marvel movie or your average Star Wars movie. It's just a guy running around fast. Look at Valerian. Maybe they should have got Luc Besson.
yeah, I don't think he wants to touch any.
I don't. That's
superheroes.
I'm just throwing it out there, Dennis. I'm not serious.
Yeah.
I don't think he would touch it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, it's too bad. That can lead into Wonder Woman. We have a controversy out there, Dennis.
Yeah, I heard of it.
Yeah, there's an all-female screening of Wonder Woman at the Alamo Drafthouse where in LA, maybe
Austin, I think. I want to say it was Texas.
In Austin, Texas, and I'm telling you, there is just a bunch of upset men out there who are just don't think that all these women should be allowed to go to movies, much less leave the house and put shoes on. They need to be home and be pregnant and be making my dinner. Oh, wait a minute. Actually gives a shit. Do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I know. I've been hearing the rumblings of this for a while now. Like IO9's been showing it, CBR, Comic Book Resource. A lot of different places have been promoting the story. I haven't seen it in the mainstream news though. That's the whole thing. There's no protests or anything like this, and I'm going, okay, so is this real or is this manufactured just for publicity? What's going on? Yes, I know that there is that misogyny stuff out there. I know it does exist.
Always will be.
Yeah, there always will be. We get that, but this seems a little more manufactured than anything else, because the only people that we're hearing it from is coming from other online geek factories.
Yep, it's a fake anniversary.
Yeah.
It's totally trumped up, and it's actually a clever move. I mean, if you're trying to make a controversy to get some more eyes on your movie,
get butts in the seats. Yeah,
get butts in the seats. Why not have an all-women screen? I tell you what, I am all for it, because my beloved wife, who is a nerd, who likes superhero movies, has accompanied me to every single one. She deserves her own superhero movie. The thing is, I don't know if that's what women like superhero movies. I'm not saying that, but I don't know if that's the top movie that they want. You know what I mean? As a group, I think women like, if they make it like The Hunger Games or something like that, yeah, okay. That was a good female action hero. Okay, I'll give you an example. Aliens, alien, female lead, female kicking ass, dude movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
by the
so
way,
I will. Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you here. Invite John back again. He wants to come back and play in our room.
Oh, he does now. There we go. Because that's not.
And yeah, I agree with you. There are a lot of, like, we have Atomic Blonde coming up as well, you know, besides Wonder Woman, who is supposed to be this kick-ass female character. And I know it's the reason why they did it is they want to get females in the theater to see these things. And someone actually brought up a good point. Wonder Woman is going to be the first solo female comic book character that we've had on screen in over 10 years. That's
Who was 10 years ago?
I believe it was Barbed Wire.
Okay, but I mean, Hunger Games is a superhero movie. It's a superhero movie.
Yeah, it's a young adult movie, yes.
But it's a superhero movie, and superhero movies are young adult movies. They are not made for us.
No.
Some now they're starting to make some for us. Logan would be a great example. Deadpool, a great example. And there is a market out there for the middle-aged nerd. As a matter of fact, I would say that's what our market is. That's what our clientele is who come and watch us. But this whole Wonder Woman bullshit fake universe, I'll tell you right now, more men will see Wonder Woman than women. Keep numbers on it, but I can guarantee you, because more men read comic books than women. So it's just a sheer numbers game.
That's the whole thing. They want to increase the number of women coming into these movies.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't think they've hit upon the formula. They're still using the male-driven formula for these movies. Yes, as we were just talking about. So they need to find something that actually appeals to women.
And different things appeal different. There are women who love action movies, and there are men who love the sappy movie out there. And then there are people who like shows? Yes, and then and Freeform. And there are people who like, which is totally cool. But we all have our own taste. There is a general taste. That's why they have these things called demographics. Okay, they exist. Exactly. They're real. And Wonder Woman, which I have no idea. I haven't heard good or bad from this movie yet. Have you heard anything?
I've been hearing mixed reviews back and forth. There was a whole slew of previews that have been shown. And there was a whole bunch of fake reviews that were popping up going, it's wonderful. It's the best movie we've ever seen and blah, 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 blah. And then this was about 2 weeks ago that this came out. Before that, there was a previous screening of that saying it was a really bad movie, that it was just really hackneyed, hitting all the same plot points that all these superhero movies before it had hit, that the end, the final scene was actually kind of boring. So
is she fighting a big giant monster?
Yes.
a big CG monster. Yeah, that needs to end in superhero movies.
Yeah.
Like yesterday. And that's not just because of Wonder Woman. That happens in Marvel movies too.
That
a big
was
CG thing
during the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, right. Where'd you go?
Oh, I had just muted myself to go for a bathroom break.
Okay, because I was in the middle of talking to you. And you just left.
I was about to explode. I'd rather not. Anyway.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let me know, and I could stop, and we can pause or something. So Wonder Woman. We're talking about the fake anniversary with Wonder Woman here, John, and
yeah, I definitely think they use this controversy to drum up some publicity, and then you had a few people who are actually dumbasses glom onto that and say some insensitive things, but I think it was hugely manufactured, mostly manufactured there.
Yeah, so I heard the early good review thing too, and then they stopped, and there was an embargo, and it comes out next week?
Yes,
Does it come out next week.
Yeah, it comes out next week, the 9th, isn't it, or the 2nd?
And we'll talk more about reviews later, because I've, in particular with Alien Covenant, because I saw something really interesting that really was different than most movies.
What, that it had
I'll-
a 71% drop off on the second day or second week?
Well, that it had 91% top critics liking it, and then all the other critics and people hate it. Yeah, we'll talk about why that is.
So I do want to add to the Wonder Woman thing. I do know a handful of people, 6 or 7 people who have seen it, and they all liked it to varying degrees. I don't know anyone personally who has seen it that didn't at least enjoy the movie. So that made me optimistic because I wasn't particularly looking forward to this one. Yeah, I know at least 5 people, and they all seem to like it coming out of it. Some more
Cool.
than others.
Well,
Some
like
said
it,
it's
in what kind of way though? Like, was it a enjoyable movie or just kind of like, it was passable?
Most of what they told me, like the ones that really liked it were saying like this is the best DC movie since The Dark Knight, and they liked both. They thought that she was like really, really good as Wonder Woman, so the performance aspect was really high. And my worry has always been I'm not a big fan of like war movies, like World War II, like war movies, and I just didn't want this to be like basically doing Captain America over again. And they assured me like it has its special twist that makes it fun. So it seems like both the performance and the action are going to be good. I still, the aesthetic still I'm questioning, but we'll see when it actually comes out and I can see with my own eyes.
Dennis, this one's for you.
Okay.
Timeless. Talk to us about Timeless. Something weird happened with this show.
So Timeless had 13 episodes in season 1. Excuse me, 16 episodes. That's right. 16 episodes, season 1. Got canceled. I was very disappointed by that.
Yeah.
Then 3 days later, they were suddenly uncanceled and now have 10 episodes for season 2.
Yeah, what the hell happened there?
That was weird.
So I think their time machine is actually real. They went back in time, got it uncanceled. You got 10 episodes.
They had to have, because have you ever heard that happening before without some big writing campaign or something? And those usually don't work.
Yeah.
Or moving networks or something. I've never heard of the same network canceling something and then bringing it back.
Yeah.
Family Guy is the only one I could think of. Futurama.
But those were
Time went by,
years.
though.
Yeah, like lots of time went by. Yeah, I can't believe they canceled Family Guy.
Did they?
Well, no, I know, right? The original, like, does that guy still have his job? You know, the guy who canceled it the original time out. So something that made mine and Dennis nipples hard. It was such exciting news. They're still hard. Is Hellboy is coming back?
Yes.
And I'm
being rebooted.
It's being rebooted, and I'm really disappointed that we're not getting. Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name now. Right?
Ron Perlman
back, because he is Hellboy. He is fucking Hellboy. But
yeah, he's 70 years old though.
Mike Mignola is directly involved with this. Okay,
Yes.
my second favorite comic artist and writer of all time, and
Really?
they got the guy, the sheriff from Stranger Things, to play Hellboy. What's his name again? I forgot his name, but this guy is like a really good second to Ron Perlman. Like his face looks like Hellboy, and I think
Harbaugh, if I remember correctly.
But now, do you think they will bring back Doug Jones to play?
No, Abe Sapien.
Abe Sapien? Yeah, that would be awesome. He could. He's in Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping is that they are try to emulate the like boxy aesthetic of the original art. Like I hope that they try to because I felt like they did a really good job with the originals, but we've come a long way technology wise since the original Hellboy movies, and I kind of want them to really lean into the comic book aesthetic even more, like go crazy with it,
like Sin City ish. You know,
yeah,
go
like,
make it look like a Mike Mignola comic book. That would be awesome. Oh my god, just like big
David
dark
Harbour.
shadow. Oh, that's his name? Okay.
Yeah.
So who's directing this, Dennis? Do we know?
No director as of yet.
No director as of yet. They're just going to bring it back, and we'll see what happens. Is a studio involved, or is this Mike Mignola going, I want to make a movie?
There's I think Universal's still involved in that.
Okay, that's good. They need something going on.
And guys, it's going to be R-rated, so this is going to be
yes.
You know, they're looking for their Logan as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, it's about time that they got back to. I mean, we're coming back full circle again. We started with Blade which was an R-rated movie
Crow.
in the late 90s, The Crow, things like that, to move away from those early 90s really crappy comic book movies that we had.
Here's the problem. I can't wait till we have an R-rated comic book movie that has the budget of a PG-13 rated comic book movie. Like that's what I really want, because I think that they're looking at these R-rated movies as like sidecar adventures for their big franchises. And I think that I would like to test out how much money an R-rated movie could make if they put as much money as they do for like the Avengers into something like that.
Well,
like
you won't get that from Marvel. Kevin
no.
Feige already said that. Yeah,
you won't. And I don't know who you would get that from. I just think it would be interesting to see, because
Oh my god.
He
just
froze.
paused. He froze.
He froze completely.
That was a good point he was making too. Gosh dang it.
Actually, Hellboy, since it's going to be a rated R movie, will be that first kind of movie to do that. You know, have that kind of budget, because they're going to throw in the money that they made from those first two movies into this.
Well, I hope so. I mean, you know, I can't see them putting in 200 million, but if they give them 100 million, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And you can be very creative for $100 million. Look, what they give Deadpool was made for nothing, you know.
Yeah, the
and
first Hellboy movie was 50 million. The second one was 80 million that they made it for.
yeah, and what was Deadpool made for? 70, something
Like that. Yeah.
I mean, just you know, which is still an insane amount of money. And you know what? But that's something that needs to be addressed in Hollywood. Is they need to just trim a lot of fat. There's a lot of shit that they don't need that they do, and that actually is happening now. Like, you know, you have people who are a fifth assistant to a line producer, and their job is to like wipe rain off of people's jackets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that shit's not necessary. I'm sorry, it'll lose somebody a job, but you know, it's just it's not necessary. It's bloat, and that's why, you know, Hollywood's in a lot of trouble, and we're going to talk about that. Movies are in a lot of trouble, and we do get a rated R Marvel. It's called Netflix.
True. That is true.
Yeah, so and that's you know, that's where some of the best stuff is. I mean, if aside from Civil War and Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy in a way, but I mean, I've been looking forward to the Netflix stuff. That's the stuff I've just been chomping at the bit for. I cannot wait for the Defenders, dude. Cannot wait. That's coming up pretty soon. No, August on my birthday. It's a good birthday present. Okay.
I get the Punisher on near my birthday. I think it's like November 19th or something like that.
Ah, see, that's rad. We're gonna get 3 series this year. That's great. Oh, I cannot wait for the Punisher. That's gonna be just fucking awesome.
That's my birthday gift, which it's one of my favorite characters. You know this.
Oh yeah.
I had at the time when I was actually collecting comics. I was collecting pretty much all the Punishers, Punisher War Journal. I was even picking up the Punisher Armory.
Yeah, okay. That's okay. Yeah. Well, I remember you collecting all the Garth Ennis shit. And,
yeah.
So another mutual favorite of ours, Judge Dredd, is coming back.
Yes.
They're trying to bring it back as a TV series, which is just a brilliant idea. And they're trying to get Carl Urban, yes?
They are trying to get Carl Urban. Yes, they are.
Okay. So, and we don't have it. It's not attached to any kind of network or anything, Dennis?
No, it is not attached to any kind of network at the moment. Right now, it's called Judge Dredd Mega City 1. Yeah, that's their concept. They want to roll with it, and then I think they're probably just going to do a pilot and then see who they can shop it around to.
Well, I'll watch it. You got a viewer right here, and I think you have one right over there. I think John's back now.
Yeah, you had a little internet problem there.
A little internet glitch there.
Yeah, I'm calling AT&T to yell at them. This happened a lot lately, and I'm hardwired in and everything.
Yeah, AT&T really sucks. I'll tell you that right now. Probably one of the worst internet.
So good. The TV's part of it's so good, but the internet part of it is so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. So we just talked about Judge Dredd. Okay, so we're going to go into we have one more little bit of news here, I guess, if we want to talk about it, is Disney is kind of remaking Teen Wolf and High School the Musical with zombies. And it's a zombie football player, which is like, how far along is he, zombie? as a football player because
he's supposed to be a zombie,
advantage, right? Like you don't have to worry about getting sacked. Like,
but you'd
you
be the
don't get
worst
injured.
football player because like you got no. I mean, like, is your body are the fluids moving? I have a lot of questions. Are the fluids moving in his body? Because then he wouldn't have any mass, and without any weight, he would get destroyed. Because you're going up against 300-pound blood bags out there, and and will he want to eat his opponents?
Not if they're singing. Like these are
singing zombies.
Football. Yeah,
It's a musical zombie football playing. Yeah.
No, I think the zombie thing is just about come to its end.
That was the nail in the coffin right there. Yeah, that was Disney going.
Oh, check.
Oh, okay. I can't wait for this. Like this is gonna be like guilty pleasure. Like I don't know. I cannot wait to see.
I think I might actually watch this just out of pure like car accident.
Exactly. Hate watch the shit out of this.
I hear premiere coming up on. Oh God.
It might, and we might make you watch it.
Yeah, I know you're gonna make me watch that.
Unless you're good. Okay, so we got some topics we want to talk about. Is there any other news, guys, that you want to talk about?
But I do
some housekeeping.
Yeah, that if you guys want to see any of the content that we're putting out, please head over to www.nerdrotic.com. You will have all of our shows at the top part of the page and all of our videos at the bottom of the page. You can also find us and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Nerdrotic Podcast. That's where Dennis posts about all the news and we post all of the podcasts and videos as we produce them. Follow us all on Twitter. I'm at JohnReed16. Gary manages our official Nerdrotic feed at Nerdrotics. That is with an S on the end. And Dennis is at DaForce, DaForce. You can also follow our other co-host, who is not on this show right now, Melissa Wagner at Agent Bossy Boots. She also manages our Instagram. So check us out, Nerdrotic on Instagram. Please subscribe and comment on all of our YouTube videos. It helps us a lot. And you may win prizes for some of the shows that we produce, especially for Doctor Who. A prize goes out every week to somebody who comments on those videos. And finally, please subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a star rating or a review. That's what helps other people find our show. If you like what we do, or even if you don't like what we do, let us know. Leave us a rating. Leave us a review. Subscribe. It helps a lot. So
and like us on Facebook and our webpage and on Twitter and every place else.
Yay. Anyway, let's talk about some of these topics, Gary.
Or don't like us.
Hate us on YouTube.
Yeah, just say something, okay? We've got some topics that kind of tie into each other. John, why don't we talk about this little Netflix thing that you want to talk about? Because I think this is the behind-the-scenes stuff. John's going to pull the curtain back. He used to work at Netflix.
Sausages being made.
And since I've worked at Netflix, I've also worked at a few of the studios and post houses around LA and Hollywood. And here's something going on right now that I just wanted to talk a little bit about. And it comes on the news that they're doing a sequel to Dark Crystal on Netflix. That's correct, right?
Yes, it's a prequel.
Prequel. So they're doing a prequel of the Dark Crystal. And a lot of what Netflix is rebooting is annoying the studios that originally produced the content, because the studios need Netflix as an outlet to get as many eyes, because everyone uses Netflix, so they need to license their content to Netflix to get the eyes on their content in the streaming world. But they don't get any of the metrics on how many people are watching the content, because they're licensing it at a flat rate per unit. So like, if they want to license Age of Ultron to Netflix, it costs whatever $100 million to license that content for a year, and then Netflix plays it, but they capture all the metrics on who's watching what, and using those metrics they're able to figure out what shows they want to bring back, like Full House with Fuller House, Gilmore Girls, a sequel to Dark Crystal. All of these revivals you're seeing on Netflix are happening around the original studio that made the content. They go straight to the creators. And so the studios are starting to get upset about this. And I think we're about to see a little bit of shift in mindset on the studios, because they're going to want these metrics for themselves. They want the user metrics, and they're not getting them. So that's the reason you're seeing Star Trek Discovery on CBS All Access, is because they want to start people using their streaming service so that they can start getting metrics on who's watching what content they have and what back shows they have, so that they can maybe relaunch the shows that are popular, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a lot of what's going on right now, I think. And I think it's really interesting this point in time. I'm wondering what do you think, guys, the studios should do in this, because they need the eyes on, people need Netflix nowadays, but they also need the information that Netflix is hoarding.
That's really interesting. You and I both have worked at Technicolor, and they were trying to remember when they were doing the set-top box thing. Remember when that was a big thing? I remember going to a big meeting about that, and Technicolor was even going to try a shot at their own set-top box.
So what ended up happening was, instead of going with the set-top box, they went with the over-the-top service like Netflix. They did MGO, or Media Affinity, which became MGO, which became Fandango now. So
I remember that.
What they thought that they were going to get were all of the metrics that Fandango gets of who's buying movie tickets and what content people are using. They thought that they were going to use those metrics to curate content that was essentially pay-per-view instead of a monthly streaming service, and that was Technicolor's goal. I don't know how well. I would say that they maybe were happy with the amount of success they got, because I think they sold it to Fandango for a lot of money, but I don't know how successful the service has actually been. I think that right now the only services that have any sort of success are Netflix with the huge lead, and then Amazon Prime and Hulu kind of trailing behind. And all of those have, like, you would think that Amazon would have a leg up, because they have metrics about who's buying books, who's buying, DVDs, who's buying toys, who's buying all this other stuff. They should be able to launch properties much more smartly than Netflix, who only knows what TV shows people are watching, essentially. So it's weird that Amazon hasn't been successful yet, but I don't think anyone else is going to be able to play ball at this point. I think it's just too late.
It is. Netflix got there just first, and Amazon stumbled. I mean, like, I while you were talking, I was still listening to you. I went to Amazon Video, and their interface just sucks. It looks exactly. They need to make it look different than their shopping interface, and they need to make it a dedicated place to go to. And I know it kind of is, but they need to rename it, because if you go to Amazon Video, it's like, oh, am I getting the Blu-rays or the DVDs, or am I getting my Prime Video? And Amazon Prime is another thing. It's my shipping stuff, but is it with my video? I'm so confused right now.
And these pay-per-view sites also need to add a social element, so that I can recommend a movie to you, and even lend a movie to you, and you can lend a movie to me, and we can talk about the movies and start a book club. And you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to buy something instead of have a monthly rate and watch whatever's on that service, there better be ways for you to share that content and talk about that content in a social way, or else there's no benefit to it.
I have Amazon the Fire TV, because I have DirecTV now, how I watch my stuff.
Yes.
And so Amazon bundles all their movies, and the way they have it done, it's really confusing. So you have this string of movies across the top, and the way the menu of getting in, you actually have to scroll across the top, and you can go to movies, but it's jumbling all movies together. Just Amazon Prime, Netflix,
or the Prime banner,
and it's really stupid. It's all jumbled together. And like last night, I didn't even know that I was actually subscribed to Cinemax. I didn't realize that, because I had watched one movie and it subscribed me for $9.99 a month, and so I had to dig through all these different files to delete it.
With the problem, Amazon actually has a better model, right? Because you can buy movies that aren't available streaming monthly, and you can watch whatever is streaming monthly. It's just they haven't capitalized on it at all. Like, they need to be smarter.
It's confusing. Well, I'm looking at the page right now. It's fucking confusing, because it starts you out. Okay, so I hit Amazon Video and Google and clicked on it, and it starts me out at included with my Prime. Okay, so I'm already automatically signed in, and then the first thing it shows me is the Bosch series. Right next to it is The Americans from FX. Then it's Legend of Korra. Then it's Mr. Robot. And then the next one is recommended movies, and that's trending. It's recommended, Amazon Original, recommended. So guess what Amazon has? Through Stars, they have American Gods.
Yeah.
It's nowhere on this page. It is fucking nowhere on this page. You have to hit Amazon Stars to get to that. See, that it's a jumble mess. Now, my question to you, this might be a boring one to people out there. does Netflix have? I mean, I know there's patents on interfaces on like how you have menus.
Yeah, they
and
own
stuff.
lots of patents. Yes.
They must own like all the easy patents, and like
They've
this is
patented
just
their recommendations algorithm. They've patented a lot of their interface elements. I believe Netflix is one of those companies that hoards patents. Yes.
And also, Netflix right now has moved away from the star system, and now it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yes.
okay.
So what my question really though is less about the competing streaming services and more about what the studios can do to get the metrics to make smart decisions in what content they want to produce if Netflix is where everyone's watching everything and they don't get any metrics from
Can I ask a question first? So what metrics you're talking about? The studios obviously get their own metrics for their own shit. Does Netflix not share the metrics
Viewership.
on the stuff they give? Like if I'm Marvel and I have Daredevil, Netflix is not giving Marvel the metrics for
people
Daredevil.
Nope, they are not.
How then I would stop letting them have stuff. And that's crazy to me because I can understand. I would see that the studios want everybody else's metrics. I mean, I would figure they knew their own metrics. They should have some kind of right to know, like, if Daredevil was successful or not. Like, do I want to make it again? Are they just, is Netflix going back to them going, oh, it's really successful, you should make another one? And they just have to go on that?
Netflix is looking at so the studio looks at how popular something is like in the theaters or whatever based on their own metrics of how many box sets they've sold and shit like that. And that depends that sets the price for how much Netflix has to license that content from them. So if something's really popular, they can ratchet up the price. But Netflix, once they have the content and they have the license to that content, nothing goes back to the studio. The studio doesn't know how many clicks, how many likes, how long people are watching, how many people are watching. They don't get any of that. So Netflix is saying like, oh, look, people have started watching Full House a lot lately. Like in the last 2 years, we've had Full House go from 6 viewers a month to 10 viewers a month, 10 million viewers a month. And so they're like, okay, it makes sense for us to now launch a sequel to that. And so then they go to the whoever owns that and says, hey, let's partner on a sequel to this. And it makes sense for the other person because then Netflix pays them a whole lot of money to get that sequel, right? So they get money from Netflix.
Or some big executive's just a huge Full House fan and fucking trumped up the metrics to get it remade again. That'd be hilarious.
I want to see a giant spider.
I want to see a giant spider. Yes, totally. No, John, I think the only thing the studios and Dennis chime in with this too, the only thing they can do is they have to work together to collude. That they have to collude against Netflix because Netflix has all the fucking power right now and they're helpless. And they're trying to launch their own that's the first thing they're trying to do is launching their own services, and then they're going to stop giving Netflix stuff. That's the next move.
How do you do that though? Because any service that
you just got to jump off and do it.
It's usually going to be a pay-per-view, right? It's usually going to be not a subscription service. It's going to be so. How do you get people used to purchasing individual content again?
You own a network. You run ads on it fucking constantly.
And you're gonna have to do a collaboration between different corporations and band everyone together to do one big, like almost like a network in a way, and launch it all as one. Because if you try and do all these multiple little things like DirecTV Now, YouTube TV, all that kind of stuff, you're gonna get viewer fatigue, and people are gonna go, "Fuck this! I'm not gonna pay 5 different places." Just because I want to get this content, I can go and pirate this.
Oh, and that's that's a whole podcast for another day.
Yeah, that's another.
But they made the first moves against that with the net neutrality shit that they just changed. And it's still a situation where the networks are losing their power. It is still 5 companies that own pretty much fucking everything, which is going to lead into our next conversation. But John, what do you think? Because I don't know. I think it's too late. I think you can't unmake the soup. The soup is made.
So I can't speak about this because I think that there's I'm involved with a project right now that may be an answer and may not. Like, it's a big gamble. I think anything anybody does, even if there is a lot of studios banding together, I think there's, Netflix is a very strong brand, and trying to cut into Netflix's pie is going to be difficult no matter what way you shave it. And I think you have to make every right decision every time a decision comes up to be able to do anything. So I don't know if it's possible for the studios to gain control back at this point. And I'm working right now on a project that might and might not, and it's tough because I see where this, like, if I own a studio, like if Nerdrotic became NBC at some point, and all the shows we do, we start licensing out to other people, and this is stuff that I've created and put my effort behind, but people only like to listen to our content through iTunes, and iTunes doesn't give me any metrics on how many people are listening. That's a frustrating situation because I can't force the public to watch my content through another service, but I want to continue to make the content I want to make. And I don't know what choice you have at that point.
Yeah, the only choice we have, if they take it all away, is we hopefully build enough audience through all these other platforms to where they just come to our website. And
You need
that's
to have
the
That's
networks
CBS
have,
content.
I mean, this is like, oh God, it's like a web. There's some, the fact of the matter is, speaking of the web, is it's a dying format, and I don't know if anything can help it now. Well, Netflix is a very strong brand now. Let's talk about the 18 to 49 demographic, and that demographic, this is the last 18 to 49 demographic, and what I mean by that is the generation after us, the not the millennials, but the ones after you guys. I got one of them in there. You know what he's watching day and night, all the fucking time? YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube.
That's the
YouTube is
thing, though.
becoming is the Grim Reaper of TV.
It's tough. It's really tough because, like, you guys are kind of like looking at Star Trek Discovery, for example, and saying, like, this isn't going to work. It's going to be on their service. You have to pay $5.99. If it were on Netflix, you wouldn't really be complaining about it, right? You'd be like, I already subscribed to Netflix. Cool, a Star Trek show. Maybe I'm going to like it, maybe I'm not, but it's on Netflix. Awesome. And that's what the studios are competing against. Like, it's a bad idea to do your own thing at this point, from the viewer standpoint. Like, I don't want to have to buy CBS All Access monthly, so I'm just not going to watch that show. And yet, if the show were on Netflix, you'd totally watch it. So that's what they're struggling against. And so I would say to everyone out there, if you want to see a monopoly grow in size, keep just sticking with Netflix and not paying for anything else. But if there's content that you want and it's only going to cost you $5 a month, and you have that $5, like, give to these other services to create some competition out there, because I think that's going to help us all in the long run. That's just
I think Netflix will fade because they're not going to be able to hold on. Eventually, the studios are going to stop playing with them. I mean, they're still the ones making all the content. Okay, Netflix is just a middleman. Oh, sure, they could. They could just start. You know what? We're going to back Jeff, or what's his name, from Amazon. We're just going to back him all day long, and that guy's got more money than God. And that company, remember, Amazon Video is just a little piece of what that mega. I mean, you want to talk about like fucking monopoly laws? They don't matter anymore. I mean, because there's 3 monopolies I can think of right now that just need to be broken up, and they won't be, because that's why they made the Alphabet Corporation, to keep that from happening.
I get my groceries from Amazon. I get my food deliveries from Amazon.
And Amazon owns YouTube.
From Amazon.
Or not Amazon. Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
Google is going to be the monster. That's
actually what I think is going to be, it's going to be a sucker punch. Is going to be Facebook. I know Facebook has. Yeah, I've been hearing rumblings about Facebook trying to build something. It's been popping up here and there in different tech circles, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see Facebook come up with some kind of media service, and it's going to blindside everybody.
I just haven't seen Facebook be entirely successful with a lot of stuff. Like, they bought Oculus, and their rollout of Oculus was just a disaster.
Yeah.
And all these other VR, like the PSVR is kind of the one everyone uses now mostly. well, the PC people, it's Oculus or Vive, but they didn't get the piece of that pie that I think they were going to get. They tried to compete with Craigslist with their marketplace. They've tried to compete with Google Wallet. They've tried to compete with PayPal, Instagram, and I just don't think they've done a great job of rolling a lot of these things
I don't
out.
think they've done
maybe
shit.
You're right, Dennis, but I don't know. I don't trust them.
No, I wouldn't buy stock in them either. I wouldn't
buy stock in them. Yeah, but I just keep hearing these. I'm seeing little peaks in news media stuff like that. That's
you know what they could do, and the biggest mistake they make is their video service is already there. It's just like YouTube. Open it up. Yes. They need to open it up. That's all they're doing. It's not a no-brainer. Yeah. Right now, only our friends can see our videos unless I share them. They need to just go, boom, it's open. Now everybody can see it, just like YouTube. That's all they have to do is write a fucking. It probably is a few ones and zeros. But instead, they want to make a big corporate thing out of it. Like, do you guys watch Silicon Valley?
I do.
It's Life 101. That show is like teaching you life while it does it through the idiocy and insanity of Silicon Valley. It's the most real thing on TV, and it's fucking funny. It is so funny. But and it's right on the moment. For one, you want to talk about 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, Silicon Valley. It's hilarious. I could not recommend it enough. You would love it.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out. What do you guys think of YouTube TV, which is basically a la carte cable subscription through YouTube? You can get ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, different shows. Too expensive. It's $35 a month, but it's done a good job of creating local, like basically being your cable subscription for only $35 a month instead of a lot more, which is
funny because that's what cable subscriptions used to be back in the day.
$35 a month for DirecTV now because I got in on the first program that they had, the first offer, and I get 100 channels.
That's like Sling.
And
it's no different than Sling.
Yeah, no different than Sling. It's the same thing. I get local channels too. And
it's only 45.
Yeah, it's half the channels for $35. If I wanted the same amount of channels, I would have to pay. I looked at it. I think it's like $75 or $80, and I might as well just get cable at that point.
But it's integrated with YouTube, so like you could watch Nerdrotic and you could watch, football.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna give it a shot. I just let my Sling just ended a couple days ago, so I am gonna try it and I will report back and let you know how I like it.
East Coast feeds of the shows that I watch, it would be totally worth it, especially for this network.
That's what Sling and DirecTV.
Yeah, I get East Coast feeds. Yeah,
but the thing is, other than a few exceptions, Sling offered basically what's already out on the internet. You just it just compiles it for you. But if you go out and look and go to the CW app or Cron 4 streams on their website.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's just these people repackaging shit that you can, if you're just basically too lazy to go to these websites, it's like that Oculus or whatever what Google has. It's like, I'm too lazy to type Google. I mean, that's all it is. I don't know. I just don't. I think those things are part of a dying breed. It's really interesting to watch, and that could go into what happened this weekend, which is movies are in big trouble. This is not even a joke anymore, and this isn't hyperbole. People aren't going to movies anymore, dude. And that's part of this new generation. It has a lot to do with being lazy, crappy movies being made too. Let's start out with that. But Baywatch and Pirates, for one, that's your Memorial Day offerings.
Yes, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's like really a fifth Pirates movie. That's what, 6 years later than the last one that was crappy that nobody wanted.
I don't know how Pirates, like, I loved the first Pirates movie when I saw it. Like, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was so cool. I also like some of the Transformers movies. These are both franchises that, like, why keep going with these? Like, you're not making the money you used to make. You're still putting a lot of money into them. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you have so many other properties.
Yeah. No,
Judge Dredd.
But I mean, Judge Dredd didn't make any money. We loved it, but it made no money.
Yeah,
know,
it's because they didn't differentiate it from the Stallone one. Everyone thought it was a sequel to the Stallone movie, and that was a horrible fucking movie.
I think Judge Dredd is very niche. Okay, it's 2000 AD. It's a comic that not a lot of people know about unless you've been in comics for years. It's kind of in our wheelhouse. It's for upper 40s guys. It's a rated R movie. It made probably what it should have made. I'm sorry to say, I think it's probably better suited like on a Stars or something like that, where if less, like American Gods gets 1 million people watching it. That's it. But that's a hit on that show. So that's probably where it needs to be.
So here's my question. I think that the test is Valerian, because Valerian looks like a very, very, very good movie that has had some pretty damn good marketing. Like, I've seen a lot of commercials for Valerian on a lot of different networks. Bravo's running Valerian ads. So I think that they're diversifying their marketing campaign, and it's an original. It's an original-esque IP, right? It's not a well-known. It's not the Avengers, right? So I think that it's a really good test because it doesn't have the brand awareness that a lot of things that succeed do, but it looks like it's quality. So if Valerian can do well, I think the movie industry is looking okay. If Valerian does not do well, and I'm not saying it needs to get Avengers numbers, but I'm saying that it has to not be a bomb, right? It has to more than just make its money back. And so I think Valerian is a really good test because it's got a lot of hype and it looks really good. It has a lot of hype in a small circle and it looks really good. But if movies aren't a healthy industry right now, I don't think it's going to do well. But if movies are a viable thing, I think that it'll do fine. So I think I think that's the benchmark for me, is how Valerian does.
I think that's a really good point, honestly. And I kind of think what's going to happen to Valerian, unfortunately, is what happened to Fifth Element at the time. Fifth Element flopped, and it's considered a classic now.
Yeah, so I mean, it was ahead of its time, whereas Valerian is in vogue with like what kind of movies people are going to watch right now. The Avatars and the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies. And
it's original in the sense that Hollywood has not made a science fiction movie like this ever since Star Wars. I mean, this is or since Fifth Element. This is a huge world with a bunch of aliens, and it's not like some alien that wants to eat you or something. And it's like not on one spaceship and Ridley Scott ruining your canon.
It's bright and vibrant and
pretty and like and a somewhat positive view of the future. Yes. A hopeful future.
It's not dystopia.
Yeah.
So that's look. I think video games are eating into the market in a huge way. The video game industry is exploding. I think like you said, YouTube. The fact that you have content at your fingertips at all times is hurting movies. Like the experience of going to the movie isn't that fun anymore. I think all those things hurt, but we've seen that when a big property comes out with a big movie, they're still making big money. So like I said, I think that the test is going to be those
properties are getting smaller. I mean, it's Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah.
And DC to a certain point, because there's a huge fan base, but they haven't had a hit yet. Wonder Woman, I think, is the second barometer but essentially though, that's just the two big superhero franchises and Star Wars.
La La Lands and you get some of the Oscar type movies that end up getting some buzz behind them and start making money over time in the theater.
But La La Land didn't make a ton of money.
It didn't make a ton, but it made money. I mean, it made money.
But there's there's so many flops now.
Agreed.
And
I agree with you.
And it's because I think times are changing.
I think not going to make money at the box office anymore.
Nope.
He's
to go to TV.
I like Kevin Smith. I still like Kevin Smith. I will watch, but I'm not watching it I'm not going to the theater to watch a Kevin Smith movie. And I would have, when Mallrats came out, or when Chasing Amy, or even when even up to like Jersey Girl, like I would go. I think that would make more money than it would now.
That's why he wasn't getting any studio backing behind him, and started doing it himself, and started going to Cannes. And he even had to do stunts in order to get people to go and see his movies at Cannes.
So maybe what we're going to see is the studios are just going to make less movies and pump
Yep.
more money into them so that they're bigger and better, and there's just less of them. And I'm totally okay with that. You know, like if Disney just specialized in Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, a couple, remakes of their classic cartoons, and then maybe one or two other movies, like that's fine. Like, why not focus in like that?
Well, it'll just become less important because we've already seen this happen to an industry. The music industry 20 years ago was massive, multi-billion-dollar industry. People were watching the Grammys all the time. Everybody had a favorite band. We had
Concerts
a music.
Still make money though. Concerts.
They do. Okay, but there was a music collection. Albums sold in the millions, and it's a shadow of its former self. It's still there. It's still strong. It'll be around forever. Everybody loves music, but music used to matter. It used to be an important art form, and it just matters less now.
Yeah,
dancing.
It's dance music now.
Yeah, it's not. It used to compete in importance with movies.
We're like the old guy nerd podcast right now.
I know. Well, that's what we are. The music industry. Well, dude, music used to fucking matter, and like Rolling Stone, like people read that shit, and like nobody, and MTV played videos. Get off my lawn. But I still like music. It's just, and there's still people making it, and it's still prevalent, just not as prevalent as it used to be. And I think that's what's going to happen to the movie. I don't think it's going to die. I just think it's
really hoping for is that some of the visionary talent from movies makes its way over to video games in a big way, and we get like a Spielberg directed video game, or like, you know what I mean? Like not Spielberg necessarily, but I would just
something like that.
See, some really interesting storytelling and movie visionary type things make its way into the video game thing, because video games for me, there's so many different types of experiences you can have with a video game. You can play Tetris, you can play Uncharted, you can play like little fun addictive games, you can play like big AAA stories, like huge massive cinematic games. And I think that it would be interesting to see if maybe some of the movie money makes its way over to this expanded
I don't think it's a different animal doing that, and I don't think any of those studio directors are actually going to be able to move over and do that kind of directing. I think
the other way.
Yeah, you'd see stuff going the other way.
I don't know. I think some of these young directors, like a Zach's, I think that you could get someone who understands the visual story, like even like the Pixar guys. Like I could see, even if they're just hiring them as like visual production guy, like art direction type people from Hollywood. I think that would add something. But I get what you're saying, because it's more of a science. Video games are a lot more scientific and
it's not just that. It's also I know a lot of people that have worked in the video game industry and stuff like that, and it's a very, how should I say, there's not a lot of money on that. There's not enough money to bring those people over into the video game industry.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It needs to get bigger for
but
that.
What's funny is the video
not
game,
by a long shot though.
But the video game industry makes that kind of money. So somebody's being awfully well, you know what? The video game industry is a lot like the music industry was 20 years ago. Lots of ripping people off.
There's horror stories of different companies where people sleep at the company while they're doing the crunch time stuff, and you're doing 90, 120-hour weeks, that kind of thing, and
making under six figures. And somebody's
you're a dumb kid. You walk in there going, I'd work here for free. This is my passion. And you would tell somebody that, and then you wonder why they ask you to work 90-hour weeks. It's the kids got to, I don't know if they need to, can't unionize, get smarter, but that's not going to happen. And it's exactly like the music industry. Come here, kid, I'll make you a big star, and I'll give you a dime off of every dollar you make or whatever. Yep. And but that hurts the industry eventually. Eventually somebody gets up and, that's why maybe all the best video game guys right now are all, doing boring programming shit at Google and Facebook, because they fucking pay. I mean, they'll pay you and programmers. That's where you want to be as a programmer, on your little bicycle meeting, which again, you got to watch Silicon Valley to watch that shit. It's funny, but they're the new rock stars, you know? And it's really interesting to watch. We're seeing this big paradigm shift in entertainment, and where it goes, nobody knows. But like Hollywood's like down to doing dirty tricks now, and on Alien Covenant, which was a really bad movie, by the way.
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it in Palm Springs, dude. It was fucking terrible. It was terrible. I wanted to walk out. You know what it takes for me to want to walk out? I've sat through some shitty movies, and I just like, oh, it's a movie, you know. But it was and it's everything I feared. It was kind of The Force Awakens, where they did a requel where they kind of followed the same path as Alien, but then they took all the Prometheus stuff, flushed it down the fucking toilet. So I mean, so you're halfway through this big plan you had, and he just shit canned everything. And spoiler warning, David, the android, creates the xenomorph. Or does he? We're not really sure, but he does, which is totally inconsistent with Prometheus because the xenomorph is on this big mural to begin with. So maybe he created a form, but you know what? You walk out of the movie not fucking knowing a goddamn thing. I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? Except a bunch of stupid people go to basically an island full of like land sharks and walk around. You know, I mean, it's just the dumbest fucking concept in the world. And then I'm going to undo all this Prometheus shit that wasted everybody's fucking time. And so I'm going through, God, how many people fucking hated this movie as much as I did? And I look at Rotten Tomatoes and it says top critics, 91%. I'm like, what the entire fuck? That is bullshit. And then I saw the audience score, which was at the time 80, and it dropped down to 75. And then I saw all the other critics who weren't the top critics all hated it. And it got me thinking, because I was alone and bored. So I'm like, who owns Rotten Tomatoes? Oh, it's owned 70% by Universal and 30% by Warner Brothers, who I believe Warner Brothers was one of the distributors of Aliens.
Yep.
And then I started going through the reviews. And then I started going to the reviews, and I'm like, well, who owns this paper? Time Warner. Who owns this paper? Time Warner. Who owns this paper? I'm like, oh, fuck. It's payola, just like in the music industry. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
So this is why, ladies and gentlemen, you need to listen to the Nerdrotic Podcast or a podcast like us. Because at the time, I mean, we'll eventually sell out if somebody offers. Yeah, you know, we're not paid. We're going to give you our honest opinion until somebody offers me a lot of money. Then I'll sell out like a whore. I promise you. But that's I fucking, that movie was so bad, and I could not believe it was. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old and dumb and don't like everything, but I can't believe 91% of the top critics like that movie. And,
I definitely think. Look, I've worked at a couple places where people were saying like, "Oh, you're in the tank for the video game industry, and they paid you for this review." And at the time, and this was a while ago, but at the time,
That's
I was
hilarious.
like, I knew that these guys weren't getting paid for it. But I do think that there is, I think that there is a level of corruption there. Like, that's all I want to say. I think times have changed.
There's click farms. They've had it on Silicon Valley. There's click farms. There's entire areas that they could just call and go, we need 100 good reviews on this. And it's that simple. As a matter of fact, we could use one. I could hire a click farm for Nerdrotic, and all of a sudden we'll be getting
totally do that.
Oh yeah, man. Totally. What I need to work on is the click farm that pays our Patreon, where I give them $1, but they give me $100 back. Once that one happens, like a reverse time share, whatever. I don't know. I'm sure there's some boondoggle we could figure out, but we wouldn't do that to you, people. We love you.
And Alien Covenant, this is what their second weekend out, and they dropped 71%.
Yeah, but 91% of those top critics, that was just bullshit. So I mean, that's business though in America, isn't it? And but that's why I like where we are. That's why I like YouTube, and this whole podcasting thing is really like the Wild West, and it's kind of punk rock. It's like us forming a band in a garage, except we're old and we own our garages. But it's yeah. Well,
my garage is going to be changing.
You'll be there someday, man. You'll be there. But our moms aren't telling us to turn our shit down. Okay. Basically. And if we wanted to do drugs, we could, but we're too old and scared. And, that's what's so fun about this podcast YouTube thing is really fun. And not just our stuff. There's a bunch of stuff. I watch YouTube most of the time now too. I just flip around and then sometimes I watch like top 10 alien or top 10 UFO sightings or some shit like that, or top 10 scariest black-eyed children or whatever the hell, it's stuff Logan watches, which is hilarious. Creepypasta. You ever heard of a creepypasta?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, a creepypasta. There's creepypastas are it's like little creepy stories for kids that are told by kids.
Awesome.
They're
That's
generally
cool.
pretty horrible, but it's funny. They're called creepypasta. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. So we'll always have something to talk about no matter what, especially as much as I talk and these guys talk too. So guys, do we have anything else for the 100th Nude podcast?
Yeah, actually, I just want to, since I do want to talk about this a little bit. We just did a review of Doctor Who, and the 3-episode arc right now is it all takes place within this simulation, and I want to know from you guys. I've noticed in the books that I read, which I guess listen to is the better term now because I use Audible for a lot. As I go to sleep, I like to have a story told to me, so I use Audible. And I'm noticing that the books that are getting really pushed to me on Audible are these lit RPG books, which are books that take place where the main character is in a simulation. And it's either like they are playing a game, or one of them was, instead of having jails, they put people into these virtual reality pods to like mine resources for like the players of the game to use. And like one of them is like you could transfer your consciousness to your character and live forever. So like there's all these cool like simulation theory and simulation novels that are getting big right now. And Ready Player One is about to be turned into a movie by Steven Spielberg. And I was wondering, we're seeing these huge these huge jumps in technology over the last like 40 years, the internet and then virtual reality and all this stuff. Where do you guys see, like, what do you guys think of this trend of simulation media? And then where do you think it goes next? Like, do you think we're just going to stick with virtual reality for a while, or do you think there's going to be another jump coming up?
Dennis?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
I know I sprung this one on you, but
no, that's a good question.
We've been watching so much, and like I was just watching that Doctor Who, and I was like, God, this is like all the books I'm being recommended are lit RPG simulation stories. Now it's making its way into the TV shows I'm watching. We're going to start seeing movies that are based on these book properties. I think it's happening in comics a little bit. Like it's happening across the board.
Well, this is the second coming of VR. The first time was around late 90s when they tried it, and it crashed and burned because they didn't have the technology or the infrastructure to deal with it. The technology's better now, but I still don't think the bandwidth is high enough to carry what they want to do, what you're talking about, in these
sure, like MMOs, like VR MMOs.
Yeah. I honestly don't think it's unless there's a way,
treadmill or rig or something to be able to do it. Really,
not just that, you just need the bandwidth as well. The bandwidth isn't out there right now, internet wise. As we saw, you dropped out.
Yeah,
and it won't work to carry that amount of data.
So we need like an infrastructure boom to support the technology.
Yeah, if you want to have that level, you're going to need that. You're going to need a huge ramp up, and I'm talking about you're going to need to be 1,000 times more than what we're at right now.
Because the solo stuff, like I was playing Farpoint, which is a PSVR space shooter. So it's like a shooter, but it takes place on like a planet. You like crash land on a planet, and I crash landed on that planet, and I accidentally had my air conditioning blowing on me, and like there was wind in the game, and I felt it, and I was like in the world, and for a moment I was like, holy shit, like I'm on this for a moment I was like, this is perfect, like this is exactly what VR was sold to me as. And so I was like, we're close. I just don't know how close. And I also think that I wonder how popular some of these things are going to be to mass audiences. Is Ready Player One going to be as big of a hit in the movies as it was as a book? Is this genre really going to take off, or are we still a little bit behind the curve on this stuff?
I agree with Dennis. There isn't the bandwidth, and they're kind of talking about this in Silicon Valley. That's why you should watch the show. The whole concept of a second internet, creating another internet, but you need to have lossless compression at there's the scale. What's the scale called again, Dennis? The Weissman scale. The Weissman scale, and in this mythical universe, they have achieved the 2.89, compression speed on the Weissman scale, which is like breaking the laws of physics basically, but it's a TV show, so what the fuck. So the main character is creating a second internet from the notes of another guy who created this show's version of Google, and that's what kind of needs to be done. So we're in a very necessary phase, and within your lifetime, John, I think we were just talking about, where do movies go, where do they go next? That's where they go. Virtual reality. They plop you right in the goddamn movie, and we'll see it in our lifetime. They'll get there. They'll get there.
I mean,
it's not much about bandwidth. It is about compression. I mean, they go one and the same. So
I can't wait to show you the PSVR, Gary. We need to get in the same place, because I think you're going to be, there's this X-Wing. So the Batman game's really cool where you get to be Batman, but you're piloting an X-Wing and taking down a Star Destroyer game is incredible. And like I said, Farpoint is really cool where you're like on this kind of desert planet. A lot of these little things. And then there's also there's little cartoons where it's like you're in the middle of the cartoon and you can like look at stuff. And I think that you're going to be blown away by what it is. Like I got it at launch, and I was kind of like not expecting much, because I was like, okay, it's first generation, I'm gonna cut it some slack. And I played the Batman VR game, and I was like, I did not need to cut this slack. This is incredible. Like it was like mind blowing how cool some of the stuff was. So
it looks amazing.
I'm interested.
I just don't know about that headset, guys. Like, do you think that might have something to do with it too? And I'm just asking this question as a completely novice, don't know shit about it, not very good at video games. But like, doesn't that headset look really clunky and stuff? Do you think it might be better if once they get it down to like glasses, or I don't know, projecting it in your brain or some shit like that? Or
yeah, exactly. Most of the books that I read, it's like almost like a process where they put you under and your consciousness goes into the game. They don't deal with a lot of, like, Ready Player One has like a haptic rig, but like most of the books are just like, yeah, you lay down in a bed and you wake up in the world. And I think that would be interesting.
Have you seen Caprica?
I've
the Galactica
I didn't
prequel?
get that far into it.
It's all based on this. There's a virtual reality.
It's so crazy.
There's a virtual reality game that it's like The Sims, that everybody just kind of hangs out in, and like people have whole entire careers, and that's basically where the Cylons come from, because it becomes sentient.
Full disclosure, about a month ago, I almost pulled the trigger on it was a camera. It was a 3D camera. Not a 3D camera, but a 360-degree camera.
We could do VR podcasting.
Well,
That'd be rad.
I was actually thinking about bringing it to Comic-Con kind of thing. That's what I was, going to do, and walk the floor, since no one's actually done that as of yet. I'm thinking,
how much is it?
Well, it was at the time. It was like $250. It was really cheap.
Nothing.
Let's pool our money, guys.
Let's get it.
That was on sale though. That's coming.
We should all get one. And then
let's just get. Yeah, we should get, instead of the fucking GoPro shit, do the 360-degree shit. That would be fucking rad.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
We'll take it offline. Anyway,
and I'm still gonna dress up as Princess Leia, and pass out. This was Dennis's idea for marketing, by the way. So he came up with this, and I fully fucking love it. He wants me to dress up.
I stole it. Okay, I stole it from a little girl. I'm gonna say that right now.
Whatever, but you see, we're not girls. We're gonna dress as New Hope, Princess Leia, in the big white gown. I'm gonna keep my beard and shit, and we're gonna pass out Nerdrotic cards with fucking 360 cameras in our buns.
In our buns.
Fucking A.
Nice. Yeah, if you guys listened all the way to this point, let us know. Like, we could start a book club. There's some ideas that have been floating out there. So if you like, I was thinking about starting a book club podcast where we read a book and maybe discuss a couple chapters each week. If anyone would be interested in that show, tweet at me at JohnReed16, JON. There's no H in John. Or just tweet at Nerdrotics and let us know what you think.
Hey, if you listen this far, the first commenter the first reviewer on iTunes will win a $25 Amazon gift card. You heard it here.
Ooh, that's worth the effort.
First reviewer on this podcast wins.
Rock on.
So I can review on that and win $25.
Episode 1 hashtag Nerdrotic.
You cannot work or play with you don't work because you don't get paid anything, but you cannot be affiliated with Nerdrotic in any way, shape, or form.
Damn right. Hashtag Nerdrotic 100, and we will we'll scour.
Yes, I like that. Very good, very good. Wow, how long have we been going, guys? You want to make it a marathon?
Hour 40 minutes.
That might be one of our longest, Dennis. What's our longest,
No,
Dennis?
we've done 2 hours. We've done a little over 2 hour one.
Was that the one where I ranted for 15 minutes on Spider-Man 2? I gotta find
You
that
ranted
one.
for almost 30 minutes, actually.
That was pretty epic, John. I haven't really done one since then, but I was fucking screaming and spit was coming out my mouth, and it was.
I think I got up and
that in the
left,
show
and then went
notes.
and got something to eat and came.
Yeah,
back.
it was really unhealthy.
Put a link to that in the show notes on the page when you do the
I'll
post.
find it. I gotta
Yeah,
find it. It's
that'd
one
be
of our
awesome.
earlier
I'll listen to that.
podcasts. It's spoiler warning, when Gwen Stacy dies in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I lost my shit. And I lost it in the movie theater too. So that was funny. Melissa was actually, it was the first time in her life she was actually embarrassed to sit by me. Yeah.
I don't think it was her first time. She was just the one. She was
First time she
visibly-
admitted. Usually she just goes, "Oh, Gary," but whatever. Guys, so we've already done the post-amble. I think we're gonna take us out, and I'll Dennis, take us out.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
I almost did my old one.
The old one.
My
The
old
retro. You went
my
retro.
retro.